What's up, everybody? Gibson's Lawn Service checking back in. I wanted to address this comment that this guy wrote in. This is what he says. First off, this is from LA Surfboarder 5. What did I say? LA Surfboarder 5572. Yeah. He like to surf the borders over there in LA, I'm assuming, by his name. He said, Gibson, because I got a few of these comments I'm gonna address. Because I was saying in the video how if you trust God, trust God. So don't worry about what you can't control. And what I was also saying in this other video, if you're doing everything in your power, if you're getting up, going to work every day, you're showing up on time, you're giving the people 100%, and they say, Gibson, we got to lay you off. It's nothing that you've done. You just got laid off. Now, some people would take the layoff and look at it like, man, why me? I showed up on time. I did what I was supposed to do. What I was saying, well, it's nothing that you've done. Because people will look at that and be like, well, man, why I get laid off? Why it's happening when the whole time the Lord will be setting up another job where you're either making more money or you making the same amount of money working less hours. If you believe in God. But if you believe in yourself, then I don't know what to tell you. But let's address his comment. He says, Gibson, do you recommend a person quit their job and rely on God? See, this guy, he's not relying on God. He's relying within himself and his skill set. And that's a sad place to be in, because you don't want to get up every day and just rely on you. Yeah, I got to get myself up in the morning, man, because if I don't do this or I don't do that, and people don't understand, it's the Lord getting you up. Because if you think there's no power outside of yourself, that's a sad place to be in, because you can only do so much. That's why people have what they call a contact list. Hey, bro, I need a favor. Say, bro, I got my son over here trying to get a job. Can you call Bill and see if y'all can pull him in? Yeah, man, my son just put in this he trying to see if he can start going to LSU or Ivy League school. Let me call Tom down there in California. Hey, man, my son down. Because that's when you're believing in more than just yourself. You're using your contacts. But see, a guy like me, I don't have any contacts. Only thing I have is the Lord. So if I need the Lord to move on something, I would pray about it. I remember me and my wife was going through something, and I remember, I opened up this Holy King James Bible, and this is what I told the Lord. I said, God, you said in your word, such and such and such and such, so I'm expecting you to move on this. And he moved on it the next day. Whole time he was probably waiting for me to call out. But let's continue on a little bit more. That's what he said. When they don't have he said, Gibson, do you recommend a person quit their job and rely on God when they don't have a business set up, or when they just starting a YouTube channel, they have a child and rent and baby to support? Luke 14:28. For which of you, intending to build a tower, sitteth not down first and counteth the cost, whether he have sufficient to finish it? Now look, I remember this guy said he was called to preach, right? And he was like, man, I'm gonna quit my job. And the guy asked him, he said, slow down there. He said, slow down there, Usain Bolt. He said, what you gonna quit your job for? He said, since you called to preach, you just up and quit your job. He said, then what? You expect somebody else to take care of your family? Well, man, I thought, you want to be able to give 100% of your time to the Lord. He said, so you telling me you can't give your time to the Lord right now with a job? He said, well, nah, I just figured, man, I need you just to be ready to go and do whatever the Lord tell me to do. A full-time pastor, I understand a full-time pastor not working. But a guy that's called to preach, you're not working a job 7/24s. When you get off work, you got time to go preach. You can go to the jails. You can go door knocking. You can do missionary work. You can use your 3 weeks of vacation. When I left the full-time job I had 2 years ago, I had 3 weeks of vacation time. If I was called to preach and I had a job, none of my weekends was mandatory. Only 40 hours. I could go preach on Saturdays and Sundays. And by me working a shift schedule, when I get off work, I can go preach. If I wanted to go do preaching engagements, I got 3 weeks of vacation time. I could spread it out and I can go preach. I don't have to quit my job. If I keep my job, I can provide for my family and do the works of the Lord. And if I need to travel and move, I'm working, making the money to do that. Yeah. When talking about trusting in God, do you think the person should have a plan set in place other than just quit without no plan or idea how they're going to take care of their responsibilities? Why, certainly you should have a plan in place, because if a man sit down and count the costs. Follow me again in Luke 14:28. For which of you intended to build a tower sitteth not down first and counteth the cost, whether he have sufficient to finish it? Lest happily after he have laid the foundation and is not able to finish it, all that behold it begin to mock him. You see, sometimes you have to just try and gain understanding. He also says, I think it's important for people to know that you can't just quit your job and think you're just going to stay at home and someone knocks on your door or call you saying, do they want to work for them? What are your thoughts? Well, I believe we've already addressed what the Bible says about this, not what Gibson says, because Gibson can be wrong. Again, I'm an uneducated welder that cuts grass on the side, but I'm fixing to switch this to uneducated and cuts grass full time. Yeah.